little bit about, how to calm the nervous system down from a perspective of coping with anger, with all of the unrest that's been out and about. We are in a pressure cooker, aren't we? This
Yes.
life we are all living right now. And today I'm going to just take a little bit different perspective around it, a little more physical instead of emotional. The koshas of the body, the layers of our being include all of us, right? Our emotional body, our physical body, our mental body, our spirit body, our energy body. But the nervous system is kind of its own unique thing, because I feel like so much can happen through the nervous system, both physically and emotionally. And I want to talk just a little bit about, the practicality of nerves, not the emotional side of nerves, which I will get to. I think next week I'm going to talk a little bit about the vagus nerve and how that responds. But for right now, I just want to talk about how nerves are kind of packed into the body. So, we think when we see an anatomical chart, we think, oh, look at all that space around those blood vessels. You have a very misunderstanding when you look at an anatomy chart or a picture online or something, because we have this, they can separate out the nerves and you just see all the nerves and you forget that they're jam-packed in along with everything else, right? And so nerves can often get compressed and bound by fascia and soft tissue. And a lot of our passageways for bigger nerves in our bodies, they travel along with blood vessels. So, they kind of go in groupings. And despite the fact that they are packed in real tight, there's actually a lot of pliability in how much movement our nerves have. So like the sciatic nerve can stretch a whole lot to accommodate for all the ways that we can move. If our nerves couldn't move at all, we'd just be stuck, like this, standing around and not be able to move around. But because we can move in all these planes, our nerves have to stretch and move along with us, not just our muscles. So it's really important for us to learn how to do some nerve glides. And I'm realizing I didn't, hold on one second. I'm gonna just pin this so you guys, there. So nerve glides are stretches that you can do in the body that are really honing in on how to create a lot of space for the nerves to pass through. And just like I was saying, with a nerve, because there's so much fascia and connective tissue and all sorts of other types of tissues that wrap around nearby nerves, they can get caught. And there's branches of nerves that go out everywhere. And these branches can kind of get trapped up a little bit in our soft tissue. So it's really important to create as much space for our nerves as possible so that they can slide and glide. And there's a technique called nerve flossing. So if you think of dental floss, and I'm sure you've all had the experience of using not such good dental floss that doesn't have like a waxy coating on it, and you stick that between your teeth and it doesn't move as well. Whereas if you get a real waxy dental floss and you stick that between your teeth, and it moves really well. So we kind of want to create that waxy, glidey feeling through the techniques I'm going to teach you today. So that's just called nerve glides or neural glides. And I like neural flossing, or nerve flossing. I think that's kind of a fun way of calling it and thinking about it. So if you tend to have nerve pain, like your sciatic nerve kind of acts up somewhere along the passageway from your back to your foot, or maybe you have some brachial plexus issues with the nerves that come out to your arm, that can cause some like numbness and tingling in your fingers, or a lot of times those bigger nerve roots, the sciatic nerve and the peroneal nerve in your leg versus the brachial plexus, which in your shoulder, the brachial plexus is a nerve root. If you can, your collarbone has your first rib is right below your collarbone, and in the gap between your first rib and your collarbone, your brachial plexus, which is a grouping of vessels, blood vessels and nerves, comes out there, and it separates out into three main nerves that innervate your arm. And a lot of times with tension, like we start computing and we start stressing and we do all these things, we can get a lot of compression when the muscles in our neck are tight. It can lift up the first rib and compress it against the collarbone and pinch a little bit on that brachial plexus. And that's called thoracic outlet syndrome, when you have a little compression and pinch on that nerve. And it can happen in different spots, from right at your spine and also in your shoulder. So we're going to do some nerve glides for the arms today and for the legs today, to kind of create some space and lose the entrapment that can happen around these large nerves that innervate our limbs. So the sciatic nerve in our leg, it's big, it's fat. It's like the size of a quarter in its diameter for a lot of people. I mean, everybody's a little different. And it can easily get trapped up. And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about the sciatic nerve, because that's a whole big thing that we could get into someday. But mostly I just want you to get the feeling today of the gliding of nerves to open up our passageway, so our nerves are really fully functioning. And then when our nerves are really fully functioning, we feel better. We have better capacity to innervate our muscles. We have lightning speed of when to contract in what sequence for different muscles for healthy movement patterns in our life. So it's really important to keep the nerves free and not trapped within the tissue, so that we have that good innervation. Okay, so let's sit up straight and tall and just take a moment to close your eyes and relax. And, depending on how you're sitting, let's try to think of our limbs today. So, of course, find the center line of the body, feel the breath, come into that alignment that feels oh so good. The grounding force of our pelvis, the spaciousness of our breath, the relaxation through our skull and face, and the coming into feeling a sense of length, ease, sense of erectness, that we have capacity to hold ourselves. And once you kind of settle into a posture, first just notice the breath. Give yourself over to the breath. Let the diaphragm find some space, some ease. And for a moment, seek the midline of your body. And that could correlate with your spine. Maybe it's more of an energetic feeling within you, where you just feel that you have a centered place, a line through you that you can gravitate towards for support, for stability, for concentration and centeredness. And then imagine your collarbones stretching away from that center line, feeling the rhomboids engage a little bit on the back, the muscles between your shoulder blades, letting the shoulder blades themselves feel active, a little awake, so they can drop down toward each other, toward the floor, in toward the ribs. And with this sense of support and broadness across the shoulders, allow your body to feel your arms. What does it feel like from the center of your sternum to your shoulders and down your arms? Can you feel that your arms are supported by the center body, that they are loose and free and capable of lots of different movements, even if your range of motion is restricted? Is there a way where you can feel that your arms have the capacity for, monkey swings, that you can move in lots of different ways if you wanted to? Let's find that same connection with our lower body. So drop down into the pelvis, and it's a little harder when we're sitting, but just sense that we have this anchoring into the center body in our hip joints, our sacroiliac joints. We also have this freedom that our legs are mobile, have this deep sense of capacity for stretching away from the center, moving in all sorts of planes. Even though we're not moving now, just imagine all the ways that you can move. So let's just feel that there's this grounded center part of us. And there's also this loose, free part of us that allows us to reach out and move in the world. Sometimes we don't give our limbs the credit they deserve for all they do for us. So let's bless our arms and all the movements that they create. Let's bless our legs and all the movement that they create. Come back into the center and take a deep, full inhale and exhale. Place your palms at your heart. Let's bow in and offer deep intention for your practice. What is it that you need right now? Okay, let's go ahead and relax the hands. And let's come onto our back. I need to get my watch so I don't keep you here forever. So you start on your back and stretch your arms and legs up over your head, lengthening through your side. Deepen your breath. Push the right side a little bit longer than the left side. And then switch. I'm going to put you all on mute so it's quiet. Take some deep breaths. Just keep going back and forth between the two sides of your body, opening up your rims. And notice how much mobility you have in your shoulders. And I know we haven't done any full range of motion in our hips. Just notice what you have there. Even just the length through the sides. And let's bring our knees into our chest and give yourself a hug. Rock around a little bit. On back and forth. All right, then let's do some circles with our knees. So warm up your sacroiliac joints, your sacrum. Just moving your knees in a circle. And moving your knees the other way. Very gentle. Just sense into the motion for your pelvis. And now let's move the knees apart from each other and back in toward each other. And let this be not only warming to the joints, but also exploratory. You know, how much range of motion do you have in your hips today? Does one hip feel a little looser, a little more free than the other? Explore the sensations that you're feeling. If you are getting some catches or binds, maybe try a slightly different trajectory of movement. Maybe go the other way in your circling and just see what you have available to you. And let's meet your range of motion with kindness. So don't push past, meet your edge, but don't push past your edge. And then right knee into the chest, left leg long on the floor. Extend the spine, roll out your ankles a few times, let your feet wake up. And already just this movement around your ankles is doing some deep work of opening some of the peroneal nerves in the outside of your shins. So movement is really a wonderful way to wake up instead of a static hold. It really cultivates warmth and heat, which softens and liquefies a lot of the sticky tissue. You know, go ahead and switch sides. Our connective tissue, all the fascia in our body, when we are still for a while, like when you first wake up in the morning, your body's cold. And there's this thing called zithotropy, which is where warmth and friction, so movement and heat, really help to get the sticky stuff, all the fascia that kind of congeals, to get it to loosen and liquefy in a little bit of your body so you have the capacity for mobility. So stretch the arms overhead. Let's find that deep starfish, navel to edges, and then exhale, knees into chest, chin up. So having just gentle movement throughout your day, you don't have to go big, it doesn't have to be massive strenuous things, but just not allowing your body to be still for too long is a really great way to keep everything mobile and free. Let's do this one more time. Arms and legs wide on the floor. Exhale, knees into the chest. Chin up. Okay, let's put our feet on the ground, feet wide on the floor. Let's drop our knees left, drop our knees right, and maybe you want to move the arms with this, so you can stretch the oppositional arm up overhead or out to the side, depending on your shoulder range of motion. Just enjoy rocking your knees and opening up the waist a little bit, the hips in a slightly different way. All right, and then let's go ahead and roll over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. All right, so as we find our way into some cat-cows, this is our first nerve glide. Just opening up the spine in this way is so great. If you think about all the nerve roots, you have giant nerve roots coming out from your vertebrae, from your spine, in the holes between your vertebrae. So let's just enjoy giving all those nerve roots and your spine itself a little bit of a floss. So a lot of times we think of flossing as working with the peripheral nerves, but let's just sense it in the central body as well. And then take your time, move around. So maybe you like to do some pelvic circles. I think last week we were talking about drawing some paint circles on the wall behind you, or moving your hips where we're drawing some circles on the floor with your belly button. Or maybe you just want to turn from side to side.
Can't hear.
And try to get into the sense that the movement of your body is free and that you don't have to let things be fluid. So notice how the spine moves in so many different planes all at the same time. You have a tail and a head that's included in that. So just explore. There's no right or wrong way to move. Make sure you're breathing. No matter what you're doing, make sure you're breathing. Keep the breath moving in, keep the breath moving out. All right, let's go ahead and stretch back towards child's pose. Okay. And then back up. So just going back and forth, getting some flexion in the knees. And it doesn't matter if you go all the way back or not, just move through that plane as best as you can. And depending on your shoulders, you may want for this next thing to not lift your arms all the way up, but if you're able to come up onto your shins, inhale, reach the arms to the sky, exhale, and fold. Let the cat-cow kind of live further in the body now. Open things up, exhale, soften back. One more time. And even if your range of motion isn't that far, you just go where you go. Hands and knees onto the floor. Let's find our twist. Inhale, lift the right arm up in the air. Exhale and slide that shoulder down. Open up the sides, open up the back. Notice what's here. The breath is such an important component of creating movement in your body. Your lungs get to do a lot of work for you besides just carrying oxygen around to your body. Your lungs get to massage some of your connective tissue, your soft tissue, even your muscular tissue. Feel how the expansion of your lungs affects your ribs and affects the muscles between your ribs and in the back. And then inhale, lift that arm all the way to the sky, place the hand down onto the ground. Second side, lift the left arm up, slide that shoulder down, find your breath, deepen it as best as you can, feel how the lungs can touch the ribs. What kind of opens in your body as you inhale? What kind of opens in your body as you exhale? Is your neck soft? And then inhale and reach that arm all the way back up to the sky. Place the hand down
onto the ground. All right, let's find dog pose. So remember, this is a gentle yoga class. So perhaps dog pose is very difficult for you. I think all of you are able to do dog pose okay, but remember, dog pose can always be here, where you're leaning against a piece of furniture or a wall. Maybe one arm needs to be down if you have some shoulder issues. If you have some hand, wrist issues, you can always come down onto your forearms for dog pose. There's always ways to modify every single thing that you're doing to make it a little bit more gentle. So you have autonomy in your practice. You're the only one who knows your body. So try to learn to trust what it is that feels good and it feels healthy, and rely on the inner sensing to give you those cues. Feel free to move here. So let's bend a knee and stretch the opposite heel toward the floor. So once again, this movement is a great way to warm up tissue, soft tissue in the body. Even if you want to, when you bend that knee, you can cross it past the midline and stretch the other hip a little higher. So you're kind of rotating a little bit in your pelvis. Whatever feels good, any kind of movement that feels really nice. All right, and then once you get into a place where you want to be still, check in with your skull, check in with your upper body. Feel the support. Hug your hands toward each other. Feel the invigoration through your torso when you do that. Let the elbows and knees soften a bit so you can hug them up into the shoulders and into the pelvis. Feeling that center support. Deep breaths in, deep breaths away. All right, and then let's walk forward. Bend from the hip joints, not from the waist. Soften the knees, dangle the head. And even here, you can start to feel a little bit of nerve gliding if you hold the base of your hands against the base of the skull and just gently tuck the chin toward the chest and then release the chin away. Bend your knees as much as your body needs. Very gentle. Maybe you feel a little sensation in the back when you tuck your chin. That's a little bit of that stretching of a nerve. Inhale for a halfway lift. Blocks can be really nice, so pull out your blocks, extend through your spine, soften the knees. So let's straighten the legs here. Spread out the bones of your feet. Lift the arches all the way up into the inner groins and the outer hips. The back knee pockets need to melt a little bit, so we're not slamming our knees back. Instead, take the heads of the femur bones back, extending the spine. Deep breaths here. And then let's bend in again. We're going to rise all the way up, arms to the sky. Take a deep breath in. Cactus, open your arms if it feels good. You don't have to cactus. You can just bring your arms out. And then round in a little bit. Touch your forearms to each other. Open your arms however is comfortable. Chest big and broad. Feel the muscles in your back. Hug toward each other, toward the midline. And then back again. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, open up. And then back again. Okay, reach the arms. Find your breath. Bend your knees. Exhale, come forward. Inhale for a halfway lift. And release. Let's grab our blocks. Okay, so we're going to take our right foot forward and our left foot comes back. So come into a lunge here. You can always put your back knee onto the ground. You can do this with your knee on the floor or your knee up. And you can also take your foot out to the side a little bit more so you find your way. The blocks are very supportive to have some height underneath you. And we're just going to start with our first nerve glide. We do this all the time. I try to do this every class because I think it's a really important thing for our bodies. So we're going to begin to straighten the legs, square the hips, chin toward the chest. The key here is to move. You don't want to kind of hang out too long when we're trying to floss the nerves. It's like dental floss. If you leave dental floss between your two teeth and don't move it, it doesn't quite do the same type of flossing as movement does. So we're going back and forth. Hips are square. Tuck the chin as you straighten-ish the leg until you feel that zing. Nerve glides can be a really fun feeling in the body, and they can also be a painful feeling in the body. So don't go to the point where you're having suffering. You want to kind of enjoy
just like you learned how to enjoy the stretch feeling in your muscles that might be considered painful, but you have kind of like a pleasurable sensation there, you want to have the same pleasurable sensation with the nerve glide. So you get to balance where that lives in your body, how far that lives. Let's come into a lunge. Everybody put your knee down onto the ground. Let's open the hip flexors of the back leg. You can keep your hands on the blocks. You can lift your arms to the sky or anywhere you want them to be. Just open the hip flexor, feel the openness here. And remember, if your body doesn't deeply lunge, then you're up here. If your knee doesn't like to be on the floor, then you're up here. Okay, so you modify everything that needs to be modified for you. Deep breaths, and we're gonna take just a gentle twist. Right hand on your thigh, cross your forearm to your knee, and keep your body upright. So instead of coming low for the twist, stay upright. Broaden across the collarbones again. Drop the shoulders down. Feel the openness through the hip. Deep breaths in and away. And then let's come back to center. Curl the back toes under. Lift the knee up off the floor. Walk your back foot forward. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Let's go the other way. So other foot back. Come into a lunge, find your breath, and remember your knee can be down. You can do all this with your knee down. I think it's a little more awkward to have your knee down to find the nerve glide, but for sure you can do it. So you see what's working for your body. So we're squaring the hips as your legs, and they don't need to go all the way straight. So that front leg can be bent, does not have to go all the way straight. You tuck the chin toward the chest. And this will open the sciatic nerve. So just notice as you move, start to understand your body. Start to feel, oh, that's my sciatic nerve. That's what it feels like to kind of have, when we stretch it, when we stretch the nerve, the nerve is activated. We get some feedback. We get some sensation in the body. So once again, you be kind to yourself, especially with your sciatic nerve. Sometimes we can very easily cross over to the zing from feeling pleasure to feeling pain. So we don't want to have painful stimuli through our nerves. We want to have our nerves awake in a pleasurable way. All right, and then let's go ahead and come to a lunge. Put your back knee down onto the ground. Open the chest. Arms can be down here. Arms can be anywhere you want. Back knee can be up off the floor. You find you. Reach and extend your spine no matter what you're doing with your arms. Open things up. Deep breaths. All right, and then we're going to find that little twist here. So left hand on your thigh. Reach your right arm up. Just cross your forearm and lay it down on your knee. Keep the spine growing tall, open across your collarbones. Still hug to the midline with your inner thighs. Feel the front heel and the back knee hugging toward each other as well. So there's stability in your lower body to support the length and space in your spine. If we collapse our legs, we lose a lot. So find strength for support. Deep breaths. All right, let's unwind that. Curl the back toe under and walk the back foot forward. Inhale for a halfway lift here. Exhale and melt back down. Push off your feet, rise up, reaching the arms to the sky, and then release the hands. So first glides we're going to do is going to be in the upper body. So I'll turn around. So just by interlacing your hands behind your back, and you can have your hands lower with your elbows straight, or you can have your elbows bent, so however works for you. Try not to do this where you're arching the back and kind of pushing the ribs forward. You want to have some sense of neutrality. And then lift your collarbones, spread them wide, and we're just going to start dropping our ears left and right. Okay. Very simple. Key here is to keep your collarbones broad and open. This will stretch your scalene muscles a bit in the sides of your neck, which can trap up on the brachial plexus. So just a little warm up for the brachial plexus. And you can do this fast like I'm doing. I wouldn't go super fast. Or you can do it very slow. And perhaps you don't want to go side to side. Maybe you just want to hang out on one side for a while. And then hang out on the other side for a while. And sometimes it's hard to decipher, and I think this is good when it's hard to decipher between what a nerve stretch feels like and a muscle stretch feels like. Because really we're stretching all of it at the same time. So if you have a complete feeling where you feel muscles and nerves simultaneously, this is that quality of trying to invite all of us into what we're doing. So if you can't quite determine, is that nerve or muscle I'm feeling, that's a good thing. Okay, so you have 3 different nerves that travel down your arm. So we've started to open up just the brachial plexus in general. So for the radial nerve, we're going to have our palms facing down to start with. And you can add this, and we will, into some standing poses whenever you want. So if you're on a typewriter, I just said a typewriter. If you're on a computer a lot and you tend to hunch or driving or whatever you're doing, these nerve glides in your arms can be fantastic for counteracting a lot of the way we tend to move. So the palms are stretched down, stretch the fingers far away, shoulders are away from the ears, find Tadasana. So make sure you're yielding a little bit, you have that capacity of knowing your lower body. And we're very simply just gonna turn our palms up and turn our palms down. So just rolling, but you want the action to happen all the way from the shoulders. And you might notice that you feel zing in one side and not the other side, maybe an area of your body that you overuse more than the other. And you can start deepening this by, really rotating into internal and external rotation. There's ways, I hope you can see me, maybe I should come forward a little bit. There's ways that you can make this less, and there's ways that you can make this more. So if you feel that, so relax your arms for a minute. If you feel the nerve be too much, take fists and do it. And this will lessen the nerve glide a little bit. And if you want more, take your hands so come back and try another round. Take your hands instead of right out from the side, we're gonna move them back a little bit, away, behind us just a little bit, and start to flip palms up and down from the shoulders. So whenever you're not, your shoulders probably getting tired from doing that, so we can rest after a couple more. Whenever you're doing nerve glides, you don't want to do more than about 10. That's usually a good number. So shrug your shoulders up, loosen them. Inhale, big breath. Exhale, we'll come back to them. I don't want to overtax your shoulders at one time, so we'll come back. Inhale for a halfway lift. Let's melt back down. Okay. Round up. All right, so round 2, I'm going to teach you the radial nerve, the ulnar nerve, and the medial nerve glides. So now we take I'm going to get very much closer. You're going to take your fingers like A-OK, right? And we're just going to turn our palms up toward the sky and pull our pinkies down toward the floor, and then reverse. So palms come up, fingers, index fingers and thumbs stay together, other fingers stay apart. Palms are up, palms flip open to the sky, pinkies down, pull the pinkies down, and then release back. So we want our elbows to stay wide, in line with our shoulders instead of coming forward. However, if the nerve glide's too much for you, that's the way to back it off, is to bring the elbows closer. The further back you go, the more intense it gets. So we're not staying. Nerve glides means we're moving, so we're not hanging out in that position. We're just going back and forth. So I hope you can see clearly. You're starting like this, and then turning the hands out, and then up. Pinkies pull down. I am a massage therapist, and I do these nerve glides multiple times through the day in between clients. It's my warm-up before I start work every day, and it helps significantly keep my wrist, elbow, and shoulder pain at bay. So this is really good things to do if you tend to have numbness, tingling, things like that from your work. Okay, shake your hands out. So that's for the ulnar nerve. And then the last one we're gonna do is for the median nerve. So, and we're gonna bring our hands back out again, okay? And we're gonna come to a wall, actually. I think this is the easiest way. Can you see me if I'm at the wall? Let's hope you can see me. All right, so we'll do this one-handed at the time. I'll show you how to do, pick 2 flowers at once and do it two-handed, but for now, let's start with our palm against the wall. Our wrist is in line with our shoulder, not higher, not lower. You can always activate more, just like in the glide for the radian nerve. If you want to bring your arms further back, that will activate more, but I would try it first just with your shoulder and wrist line with each other. Okay, so spread out your fingers. Turn the eye of the elbow, where you get blood drawn, turn the eye of the elbow up toward the sky, shoulder blade down the back, activate the shoulder blade, open up the collarbones. And then from here, that might be enough. I feel a huge zing in my hand right now. But if you want more, you can always move the hand back. You can also start moving. So here's the glide. Okay, so we're gonna bring our head toward our shoulder, and then we're gonna move our head away from our shoulder. Make sure you're breathing. Feel the full body. Find Tadasana. Find your yielding. Just going back and forth, keeping the eye of the elbow turned up. Spread the palm, a little pressure into the wall. Shoulder blade is down the back. Okay. All right, and then relax. And let's do the other side. So palm on the wall, wrist in line with your shoulder. Spread your hand out. Find the eye of the elbow, turn it up toward the sky. Find the shoulder blade, drop it down the back. Notice if your ribs are popping forward. See if you can find that integrity in the center body. Lift the spine. And then as you're ready, let's start to glide here. So ear moves away, our head moves away, head moves toward. So, when you move your head toward the wall, chances are the nerve glide feeling goes away, and then you have it more enhanced when you move away from the wall. So once again, with nerve glides, we do not want to, it's just like any kind of stretching. We don't want to overstretch. So pay attention very clearly to this sensation you're feeling, and just go to a place that feels like a comfortable, pleasurable sensation and not extreme. And then when you're ready to be done with that, just shake everything out. Roll your wrists a little bit. Open your hands. Okay. And inhale. Reach your arms to the sky. Exhale and float forward. Bend your knees. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and release back down. Let's step our left foot back. Right foot is forward. Come to your lunge. And come on up. All right, so we're going to just start this here. I taught this, a couple weeks ago with the platters. So hold your hand, palms up, hold like you have 2 platters, 2 very precious flowers, a little rock, whatever kind of weight you want in your hands, and then bring the hands back toward the wall behind you. And like you're trying to show somebody what's in your hands that's sitting in the seat behind you, okay? And just back and forth. This is not particularly a nerve glide, but it will activate a lot of muscles in the rotator cuff and in the back body that really need to be supportive so that the brachial plexus in our body is free. Okay. A lot of times we rely on up here to do all this, but if we can get down and find the other muscles, we don't have to rely on our scalenes so very much for so much of our arm movement. Okay, and then go ahead and come back up. We're going to turn to the long edge of our mat. Find your breath. Okay. Take your feet wide. Let's turn our right foot out and our left foot back. We'll bounce through this a little bit, and then we'll come to the lunge on the other side at the end. Okay, so find your way. So remember, these poses do not need to be deep. They can kind of land right up here. They don't have to be all the way down here. Okay, but let's just move a little bit. You can have your arms do the movement too, or if you need to give your arms a break, give your arms a break. Let's just open our hips. We've been still in our lower body for a little bit. So let's have some movement. And then find where you're going to go. And we can add these upper body nerve glides so simply in our standing poses. You can try the palm turning. You can try turning the palms up and flipping the fingers down. You can try turning the palms out and press to imaginary walls. So experiment with different movements with fists or open palms to give you that sensation that you're looking for. Deep breaths. And let's slide the hand down the leg. Lift that arm to the sky. Let's go ahead and straighten our leg and find triangle pose. Take your hand on your leg or on the block. Open the chest. Drop the shoulders away from the ears. Give those muscles at your neck lots of room. All right, and then let's go ahead and come back. Let's move to the other side. So remember, this hip's been quiet a little bit in its rotation. So let's just take a little time to find movement. Maybe your arms want to find the movement too. So remember, your posture can be right here. You do not have to go deep, especially if your knee feels unstable at all. Let's keep the movement within the range that is comfortable for our bodies. So, truly, to get our fascia free, that will allow our nerves to be free, we don't have to do deep things. We just have to move. Okay. All right, so let's find your way to where you're going to be, whether it's high up or whether it's deep and low. And let's just find the action of the arms. So remember, when we're doing the nerve glides, try to keep the shoulder blades firm on the back. So we're not, just moving the hands, and we're not, rounding the back. Okay, we're going to keep the spine in its normal place. Flip the palms open. Maybe you want to reach your hands back. Maybe you want to try some platters here. Maybe you want to be in fists. Maybe you want to push your palms out. Maybe you want to be in fists there and just move your wrists. Okay, so there's so many things to play with. There's no right or wrong way to go about this. Look for the sensation. All right. Then reach that arm up. Find your breath. And then straighten up your leg and find triangle pose. Open the chest, shoulder blades move away from the ears. Maybe your hand doesn't want to come in the ear. Maybe you've had enough with the shoulders and you just want to keep your arms down. That's fine. Deep breaths in, deep breaths away. Let's go ahead and come back up. We're going to come back to the lunge on the left side. So bring your left foot forward and turn your back hip forward. So remember, you can take your foot out to the side more or less, depending on where your balance is at. This knee, your front knee, does not have to bend very far. You can be in this posture like this. It does not have to be very deep. You can go really deep. All right, so wherever your body is, reach the arms to the sky, find your breath, integrate the center body so you're not overarching the back. And let's bring the arms out, stretch open from your collarbones. See if you can get that sense of expansion. Without even moving your hands, can you feel a stretch in your nerves? And then the elbows coming down next to you, hands, platters, little special things in your palms show the people behind you. Find your breath. Open across your collarbones. Give your neck some room. Shoulders are down. Breathing deeply. All right, and then reach the arms up. Walk your back or your hands forward first, and then walk your back foot forward. Inhale for a halfway lift. And if you want to, go through one vinyasa. So if you want to come back to a plank, now's your time. Okay, so hold steady. Feel that sense of integrity in the center body. Deep breaths in, deep breaths away. Let's put our knees down and slowly lower yourself to the floor. Remember, extending and flexing your spine is really good for your nerves. So as we do a couple of back bends here, you stay in your range of motion, whatever that is, engage your core, hold your spine strongly, but let it open up. And then let's relax here for a moment. Put your hands underneath your forehead. Take some deep breaths. Pick up your feet and rock them left and right. All right, let's go ahead and come up onto all fours. Take a moment to feel your spine in all its glidey, slidey self. Okay, and let your neck be a part of things. Okay, now I want you to sit on a chair. Shoot, I meant to tell you to have a chair before class started. I'm going to sit on my couch. However, I don't recommend a couch. A firm support underneath you instead of a smushy support is best, but this is just what I happen to have in my room. So from here, we're just going to do some sciatic nerve and peroneal nerve glides. So your sciatic nerve, I think you all know your big, giant, huge sciatic nerve. Your peroneal nerve is a branch off on the side here on the outside of your calf. So we're going to stretch both of those in a nerve glide. So first, get on the edge of your chair. So you're not sitting way back in your chair, so your spine is tall. Find your breath. And this is very simple. We're just going to bring our leg out. And you can do it on the floor. It doesn't have to be out in the air. Okay? Tuck your chin at the same time. It's very similar to what we did earlier when we were doing these, you know, where you kind of go into a lunge and back again, okay? So you decide, keep moving, keep breathing. You decide whether you want your heel to be on the ground when you do it, or whether you want your heel in the air. So we're tucking our chin as we straighten our leg. All right, now with the peroneal nerve, it's the same thing, but as you bring your foot out, and you can do this in lots of different planes. I think it's easiest on a chair, but you can, there's, you know, you can do it standing. There's a lot of things you can do. But as we come here, now we're going to turn, we're going to evert. So with your foot, you're going to turn it this way instead of out. We're going to invert, rather, sorry, not evert. Invert your foot as you do this. And this will open up the peroneal nerve. So as you tuck the chin, bring the foot, turning it in and back. And we're going to do this on the floor in just a moment. This is just to kind of wake up what's happening there. Okay. Remember, your heel can be down. Sometimes you can feel it better when your heel's down because you're not so engaged with your hip flexors. All right, let's change sides. So you're going to keep your knee bent, and you can do this. You know, there's a lot of ways you can do this. We're going to do this, and then I'm going to show you a way on the floor too. So as your heel comes out, your chin tucks. As your heel comes in, your chin lifts. Remember, when you do nerve glides, you don't want to do more than 10. You know, that's the max number. You can do anywhere from like 3 to 10, whatever feels good for you. There's no magic number, but you don't want to overdo. Okay, now let's add the peroneal nerve in there. So you are turning the foot in as you tuck the chin. Now, I don't know about you, but I feel it way more when I do it like this in the beginning of class, which is why I do that. I think it's a very strong sciatic nerve stretch. Okay, now we're going to come on to the ground. You need to have a block and a strap. Okay, so let's come onto the floor. First, we're going to grab our strap. Okay. Wrap it around your right foot, lift that leg in the air. Your left knee can be bent and your left foot can be on the floor,
or your left leg can be straight. So you decide what you're going to do here. And very simply, we're going to begin this just by flexing our toes now. Oh, I forgot to mention the toe part when we were sitting in the chair. Flexing your foot as you tuck your chin was an important part of that, so I apologize for not mentioning it. So we're going to lift our chin. Just, you don't have to pull your head back, but just take a little gap between your chin and your chest. Point your toes toward the sky, and then chin toward the chest. Flex the toes, lift the heel. Make sure you're not hyperextending your knee. All right, now we're going to add the peroneal nerve into that. So your foot is flexed, and then we're going to invert the foot. So your pinky toe side of your foot lifts higher, your big toe side drops down, your bottom of your foot turns to look to the left. Okay, and just add the chin tuck. As you turn, foot lift, add the chin tuck. And I hope you feel this kind of in the outside of your calf. It's a little different pathway than the sciatic nerve. And notice if you want to turn your head to the left, notice the feedback loop in your body. That when you turn your foot to your left, do you have a desire to turn your head to the left too? We're so wired together. So just marvel at that for a moment. Okay, let's go ahead and release. We're going to change sides. Put the left foot in the strap. Remember, right foot can be on the floor with the knee bent, or right leg can be straight. Find this pose. We do this pose all the time. So find it first before we go into movement. Extend the spine, move the femur bone away from your shoulders, soften the knee, and then very simply a little bit of a chin tuck. It's not a lot. Toes flexing toward the face, and then point the toes and open the throat. So your head doesn't have to move a lot. It's just an intention to open and close and open and close. Remember, you're supposed to be enjoying sensation. Nerve glides, you want to keep them in the range of happy sensations in the body. Happy nerves are a really good thing. I think everybody's had the experience of an unhappy nerve, and it can be debilitating. So let's be really careful to not overdo this so our nerves don't get irritated by the stretching. Okay, now let's do the inversion. So chin tucks, left foot, bottom of the sole of the foot turns to the right, pinkies up, toes, big toes down, and then open the throat, flex your foot up toward the sky, and turn. And just notice if you did have that desire to turn your head with your foot, is it less or more so on this side? Do you have a bigger imprint of connection or a little bit more autonomy between the crown and the foot? Are you breathing? Okay, and then let's release that, relax. Put your foot down onto the ground. So very simple ways to stretch a lot of big nerves in your body. Let's bring our knees to our chest and rock a little bit here. This way. Let things be easy. Forget the stretching and the gliding. Now we're looking for ease and rejuvenation. We're going to do a supported bridge pose on the block. So take your block and have it across your sacrum, not in line with your sacrum. You want that broad support so it goes under your pelvis and your sacrum. So you can put it on the low height or the middle height. Don't put it on the highest height because that's too narrow. If you want to go really high, which I don't think you guys will, but if you do, 2 blocks underneath you so you still have the width underneath your pelvis instead of a narrow, skinny block just under your sacrum. That puts a lot of pressure on your sacroiliac joints. So you want to make sure that you have the breadth and width across your pelvis. So whatever height you're getting to, whatever's comfortable for you, let's just be here and breathe. Set the tone for your the ease. Let's imagine our sciatic nerves coming out from, there's a lot of branches of your sciatic nerve in your lumbar spine and sacrum that kind of, tunnel out from your spine. So let's just enjoy all of this, giant nerve that comes out from the spine on either side, passes under a lot of muscles through the pelvis and travels down your legs. Okay, so let's just enjoy this really big nerve in the body. See if you can visualize it on both sides, even if you can't feel it right now because we're pretty passive. Just imagine all the space you can find, all the space in the world, like the sciatic nerve is floating in space with all the room it ever could need. All right, so let's bring the knees up now. Just have a little bit of traction. You can bring your knees toward your chest. You can bring your legs straight up in the air. You can have your knees over your hips, but your knees are bent. So just find wherever you want to be to just give some traction to the back. And then if you want to move the hips a little bit, you can pull them wide, bring them back in. Let's go ahead and release. Put your feet on the floor. Get the block out of there. And let's just do a simple twist. So move your hips to the right, knees to the left. Open up the chest. One last time. Feel a lot of space now for your arm nerves. All the innervating. Let's have some deep gratitude for our nerves. We would not move without them. So, the muscles sometimes get the glory of the movement, but the nerves of the backbone, they are the reason we move. So let's just have this deep appreciation. Open some space up, relax into that space. And then let's go ahead and shift knees back to center, hips over to the other side, drop the knees. Deep breath here. Stretch across your chest. Open the breathing body. And then come back up. And as we find our way into Shavasana, if there's anything else you need, if you want to bring your knees to your chest and rock, if you want to have your arms and legs wide away from each other, close, legs supported, arms supported, head supported, whatever it is that you need. Let's take a moment to enjoy and appreciate the spaciousness for our nerves. Before you settle completely, lift your shoulder blades up and slide them down the back just a little bit more. Open up across your collarbones. Let your neck be free. Soften your jaw and your tongue and the inner walls of your throat. Relax all the muscles in your neck. Melt the shoulders down. Let the arms be heavy, spacious. Let the legs be heavy and spacious. Soften the belly. Let yourself breathe. Melt into the floor.
Begin to deepen our breathing. And before you move, just once again melt the body and imagine yourself floating, maybe in warm water or maybe in space, whatever medium makes you feel liquidy and smooth, fluid, capable of all sorts of spaciousness and freedom. Let's begin to move the body a little bit. You can stretch your arms overhead. Any kind of movement that feels good, feels right. And roll over onto your side. And use your arms to lift yourself upright. Bring your palms together at your heart. Let's just take a moment to offer our practice, concentration, cultivation of energy. Let's send it forth. Offer your prayers out to the world wherever you want them to go. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.